Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Entertainment News. Yeah, the Babadook is coming back to theaters on September 10th for the 10th anniversary. Cool. Before we get to that news, some things for you to do for us. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, so please subscribe. Hit the alert bell, like, comment, send supers, or become a member for $2.99 a month. If you do comment, keep it friendly, keep it on topic, don't make it personal. Yeah, the Babadook returns to the big screen this September for 10th anniversary. If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. Writer-director Jennifer Kent's feature debut shook audiences and helped usher in a new era of horror, and it's turning 10 this year. But to celebrate, IFC Films, in partnership with Iconic Events Releasing, is bringing the modern horror classic back to theaters nationwide starting September 19th. For some reason, I said September 10th. I meant 19th. Featuring an exclusive film Q&A with Jennifer Kent. The writer-director also be touring with the film in select to-be-announced special screenings and in-person discussions in September to commemorate the special anniversary. Sounds a bit like the Kevin Smith method for promoting films. You do the take it on tour now, although this, of course, isn't a new release. The Babadook, 6 years after the violent death of her husband, Amelia is at a loss. She struggles to discipline her out-of-control 6-year-old Samuel, a son she finds impossible to love. Samuel's dreams are plagued by a monster she believes is coming to kill them both when a disturbing story called The Babadook turns up at their house. All I basically remember from the film was the woman trying to masturbate, but the kid starts crying and sort of disrupts her. I saw the film once. I liked it, and I'm sort of glad it's coming back into theaters because it sounds like it's had quite an impact. Yeah, I constantly hear it referenced as a favorite film among horror films in the last several years. But that's actually not why I chose this story for this morning. There was another reason. When I was scanning for news this morning, I saw several announcements of films being re-released. Interstellar and The Batman, both are also being released. And it seems like there were some others. But more and more, it seems like re-releases are back in style. Avatar, a couple of years ago, made a huge profit and a re-release. Even The Phantom Menace, which has a troubled history of fan love-hate, did pretty well at the box office in a re-release. Before home video, re-releases were also common. Then it became sort of less profitable. But in recent years, especially with all the remastering techniques and the larger formats and all of that, seems like there's and with the troubling state of the box office since the pandemic and during the pandemic, it seems like re-releases are coming back into style. And I think that is cool. But the reason I brought it up is that a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, co-host here Jeremiah and I were talking about re-releases and how well they were doing, and I had this idea that it's time for theaters to or for distributors to create sort of a streaming service for theaters. And rather than having all of these sort of special events, short releases, why don't we just set up a streaming service, a high-quality streaming service, open only to theaters where they can select theaters to play at any time. I know they've always had sort of catalogs of available films, and then you should request them, and you could bring them in if you wanted to. But generally speaking, re-releases are done in sort of these special events. A studio remasters a film, decides they want to re-release it, they promote it, and they release it. I thought it'd be cool if there was a streaming service where theaters can put certain films that they want to be re-released or want to be made available for re-release up on this service, and then let the theater select them. You could have a process where the audience can sort of start booking or voting on movies, and so perhaps, like, say you schedule a potential re-release on such and such date, and if you can sell enough tickets or get enough reservations to sell tickets to fill like 75% of the theater, then that release would be approved and the theater would show it. I think it would be a great method for not just big theaters, but especially little theaters in smaller markets that have to do a lot of creative things to get butts in the seats. I think that would be potentially a good opportunity for him. I realize there's a whole lot of other work that would have to be done behind the scenes as far as profit sharing and all of that, because some of the rights of these films become complicated after their release as the movies get sold and the companies get sold and moved around, and it becomes less clear who owns them and who who has distribution rights where many years after their release. But I think that could be a possibility to help bolster theaters. Give them the ability to more easily schedule special re-releases for anniversaries of films that maybe the studio itself may not care so much, but it could potentially create ongoing profit sources for these films that some of them, in some cases, became cult classics later, but maybe didn't make a profit up front. But imagine, a big film like the original Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back. I could imagine that you could get full theaters for that, every single year if you did a yearly release or a bi-yearly release. Choose certain weekends and sort of allow the audience to create traditions of their own, sort of like the yearly midnight re-releases of Rocky Horror Picture Show and things like that. So that's my thought. I think that it's a good thing that these theaters are coming back, or these movies are coming back into theaters more often. Maybe it's not a sign of health in the industry, but I think it's if you do re-releases and you see these films doing well, I think can be a signal to movie makers what type of films people respect and love and will come back time and time again for, and it would sort of help them forge the direction they want to take and sort of understand why certain films never lose popularity, but then you spend $200 million on a brand new film and nobody goes and sees it. So that's my thoughts. I think that it should be much easier for theaters to schedule these re-releases and not have them limited to just special events like the 10th anniversary of Babadook. All right then, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep it creepy.